I always do that. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go up past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I give what I got, I supply that fire. I supply that fire. What is going on, bookworms, and welcome back to another episode of Bookmarks with Bump. It's edition number 35. We're coming live. Well, not really live. Today is Thursday, February 6th. Give a happy birthday shout out to the man Bob Marley. A man who was a revolutionary and a great musician. And he smoked a lot of mid. Moving on from that, when you're hearing this, it is Super Bowl Sunday. The most exciting day of the year when it comes to, well, the second most exciting day, I think. I think the most exciting day is opening day for jocks worldwide. But this Sunday is kind of like, it's Thanksgiving to Easter. It's all subjective. Which one is your favorite? There's no real clear-cut answer. Super Bowl could be your favorite. The first day of the season can be your favorite. But any other day is just obsolete when it comes to those two. And we have the Kansas City Chiefs facing off against the Philadelphia Eagles in a matchup we saw 2 years ago. But both teams are new. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But we'll start off with a little bit of what this podcast is all about. I mean, I go through Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter. I go through it pretty much every day when I'm taking my morning grumpy on the toilet at work, and I bookmark and put away threads that I want to read later and never really get around to reading. So what a better chance than to sit down. I have a microphone. I have recording equipment. Why not just read them out loud and see what we can learn about it and bounce off one another, using my expertise through my experiences in life to try and give a little bit of more insight as to what these things mean to you. Here's a new thing that gives me credit as to why anything I say that has to do with physical prowess or mindset is... Here's a little bit, another pin to put in my hat. This is why you should listen to me. Here's why you should listen to me, because if you follow me on any of my social media, Instagram, TCGXBump, you would have seen that this Monday morning I started my week out, making my way out to my vehicle to open up the door and put my lunchbox in and get off to work. And here I was. It snowed overnight. The snow, it looked soft. It felt soft as I walked upon it. I looked out into the road and saw that it was clear. So it would be a nice and easy commute into work. The first thing I see is my passenger side door handle. And the next thing I see is my feet above my head as I'm falling to the earth at a rapid pace. And the video is great. The sound that the ground makes when I hit it, I really hurt that son of a gun. So it was a nice treat. However, that did not stop me whatsoever from everything else that I had to do throughout the day. And luckily, and I'll tell you why. And this is a big thing. Even if you're not into looking good, you don't care how you look, which you really shouldn't. That's not something that matters all that much. As long as you don't look dirty, you should look clean and presentable at all times. Nonetheless, I'll I'll move on from that. What kept me virile throughout that day was I have to give credit to the weight training. The stress that I've put on my bones and the muscle that I've built on my body helps me withstand that fall. And the number one injury prevention, really, for falls as you grow older is to lift weights. It's the number one way to keep yourself strong, keep yourself safe, and keep a nice sheath of armor over your brittle bones. I hit the ground, 200 pounds falling to the ground very quickly it's a lot of force. And I hit the ground with a lot of force and I bounce right back up and everything's fine. I barely even have a bump or a bruise. The only bump on me is me bump myself. And let's get into these threads here because I have one about modern health. And we're talking about health and keeping yourself healthy. That's a huge topic on this show. But Brian Meyerhofer began this thread with the most dangerous modern health issues aren't obesity, addiction, depression, or anxiety. This one condition is worst, and it causes the three above. Here it is, and how to reverse it. Let's get into it. Science shows that repressed emotions are the root cause of chronic diseases. They directly impact hormone levels, brain function, immune system, cell regulation. This isn't just theory, it's shown in research. Let's dig in. And as always, I suggest you read along, click the links in the description, and follow along as I read with you. It's like a nice little class here. This study shows that childhood trauma increases inflammation as an adult. Physical, sexual, and emotional abuse, neglect, and separation from caregivers significantly increase the risk of developing mental and physical illnesses later on in life. But why wouldn't doctors learn about it in school? Dr. Gabor Mate explains human emotions are a protective mechanism, just like the immune system. Suppression of healthy anger, like in a child, causes suppression of immune function. Whatever happens in the mind happens in the body, yet our physical system ignores this, leaving people to suffer in silence. This overload of stress hormones keeps your body in a constant state of hyperalertness. Even when resting, your nervous system stays in fight or flight mode, preventing real recovery. That's why people with depression often have chronic fatigue, despite sleeping a lot. You can't heal in survival mode. Breaking free requires more than rest. It demands releasing the stress stored in your nervous system, and here's the science. Neuroscience shows that chronic stress and repressed emotions change your brain structure. The limbic system, your emotion processing center, becomes overactive, trapping you in survival mode. This hyperactivity traps the nervous system in survival mode, toggling between fight, flight, or freeze responses. This is why trauma often leads to addiction, poor choices, or binge eating. But here's the good news. Neuroscience shows that the brain is capable of healing itself through neuroplasticity. It's able to rewire and form new, healthier connections. With the right tools and practices, you can break free from these cycles. That's where somatic therapy comes in. What is somatic therapy? That goes on to say somatic therapy is a stress processing technique that uses neuroscience, psychology, and biology to build resilience and restore the balance to the system. It works by tapping into the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's natural rest, digest, and restore mode. In this state, you experience effortless calm, laser-sharp focus, boosted immunity, deep restorative sleep, emotional control, physical and mental healing. Here's what somatic therapy looks like. Somatic therapies have been a revolutionary science within the last 50 years. It has been shown to cause neuroplasticity, rewire the limbic system out of survival mode, reduce chronic pain, or in some cases completely heal it. Michael Vega was able to heal his PTSD and return to health and regular functioning. And they have a video that accompanies this, and this is why I say it's important to follow along, because I can't show you the video, but you can watch it for yourself, and it looks like this guy's having an exorcism done to him. So somatic therapy is exorcisms, and somatic processing helps your body metabolize the accumulated stress hormones that have been trapped in your system. This process is found in all mammals on Earth. Though humans have the same ability to process trauma with Though humans have the same ability to process trauma with social conditioning, we have lost our ability to use it. Watch me go through the somatic discharging exercise. You'll see my body in action, releasing tension through involuntary movements. This is the automatic nervous system releasing stored stress from the body. Notice the smile at the end. It feels like bliss. This is almost somewhat disturbing. In somatic therapy, you'll work through the body's natural responses, fight, flight, or freeze, transforming these reactions into signals of strength, not stress. With time and practice, your body and brain learn to reset, restoring your natural equilibrium. These are the changes my clients consistently report: improved sleep quality, boosted energy and vitality, healing from past trauma, increased mental clarity and focus, relief from chronic pain and tension, enhanced emotional regulation and well-being. in my experience as a therapist, you can't heal years of anxiety, depression, and stress by thinking or talking your way through it. The key lies in activating the autonomic nervous system, the body's natural healing mechanism. Somatic therapy is the best tool I've found to this day. So, this is a very, very interesting thread that shows a lot of what the body and mind connection can do. And I think that your mindset is a definite, it can be a definite deterrent or motivating factor for your physical life, how you feel physically. And it's interesting that we go through this thread because I had an interaction with a buddy at work yesterday who, at the end of the day, we're sitting there, we're washing up at the sink, and he looks at me and he just kind of says, he lets out this big sigh, ready to go home? And I look at him, I go, yeah. And then I go, well, actually, I'm going to go to the gym. And then after the gym, I'm going to go for my run. And he's like, seriously? You're not exhausted after today? And I'm always running around. Being a setup technician, you have to tend to a lot of different things at once. So I'm constantly running around and I get over 10,000 steps a day during my day at work, moving from press to press in the press room, making sure that everything is operational. So I'm always on the go. I'm always moving and I'm never tired. And that's just the thing. I looked at him and I just said, exhausted is a mindset and I don't feel that way. And I turned around and I walked away in somewhat of a stoic fashion that might have seemed douchey. But it felt so cool. But yeah, it was just it's a moment that sticks out in my mind, and I hope that it's a moment that sticks out in his. I think a lot of what I do as far as movement goes is somatic therapy for me. Running specifically, the constant jostling and releasing of stress through the motion of your body. I think that's what keeps me running. And why I run to try to hit these goals, like to run in the Boston Marathon. That is a vigorous pace and a lot of pressure that I put on myself and stress that I put on my body. But I think that stress that we put on our bodies actually helps release the stress that's stored in our bodies. I mean, my mindset of being exhausted or not, never being exhausted, that's something that really keeps my motor going because there are days where I don't want to go to the gym or there are days where I don't want to run. But I remind myself that's something tired people do, and I'm not tired. I have a goal, and that goal keeps me motivated. My mind keeps me motivated. I remember I got stretched before I recorded this podcast today, and I think this is important too because you can do your regular yoga and go through the ropes, but to have an assisted stretch, I feel like that's something that's helped me so much in the last few months since I implemented this. Going down and seeing my buddy Eli at the Fizz Funk Factory down in downtown Torrington has helped me out, not only keeping me limber, but helping with injury prevention, helping with prehab type deals, keeping me away from being hurt. But nonetheless, I said to him after I told him about this interaction that just like I remember when I was a sedentary scumbag. I wasn't a scumbag because I was sedentary, but the things that I was into weren't really. Listen, I was living a lifestyle that was dumb, and I spent a lot of time sitting around. And I remember those days where I did nothing. I was always tired, and I think that's just part of it. The more you do, the less tired you are. And the more you know you have to do, the more you're motivated to do it. And those things that you don't want to do or the things that you shy away from, maybe you should just go ahead and do it because once you get into it, once you start moving, you get more energy. I have more energy now in my life now that I do more than I ever did when I wasn't doing anything. I think there's a correlation there, and I think that's also a mental thing. Like I have more mental clarity since cleaning up my life, and people will constantly use this as an excuse. We're gonna get into a thread by V-Shape Fitness. It starts with I don't have time to work out. I hear this all of the time. I hear this from people who work a 6-hour day, people who work an 8-hour day. There's always I don't have time. And listen, I get that I have no wife, no kids. but that doesn't mean I don't have a social life. I still make time for my friends, and I make time every day to spend time in the gym because there is time. There's 24 hours in a day. Most people work 8 of it. I've been working 9 and 10 hours and still making time for the gym. Working 60 hours a week, I have not skipped one single day that's on my schedule. And do I say that to be tough? No, I say that to say that there's always time. Nonetheless, this thread goes on to say, I don't have time to work out. Rubbish. I manage business, family, and regular travel. The key? I optimize my workouts to get big results in just 40 to 45 minutes by doing these 6 things. High intensity sets. We've all seen it. People with no focus, winging it, and leaving tons of reps in the tank. One quality set, taken down to 0 to 2 reps in reserve, is better than 10 sets with no intensity. Quality over quantity. Hint, your last reps will be involuntarily slow. And what he means by intensity here isn't just the vigorosity of your motion. This is the vigor of your motion. This is more the weight. When we talk in weightlifting or bodybuilding or muscle building, mass building, whatever you want to call it, weight is referred to as intensity and reps are referred to as volume. Intensity over volume is a big deal. The more weight you can push, the more stress you're putting on your muscles. Therefore, more tears, more growth. And we'll move on to number 2, higher quality execution. So higher intensity, proper form. And you want to move to the point where you almost can't get those last 2 reps up. That's what I always say. Training should be geared towards high quality execution to stimulate muscle growth, strength, and performance. Slow reps, high intensity, perfect form. 3-second eccentrics, full range of motion. Better execution equals less total volume needed. The better form you lift with, the more intensity you'll be able to take on, which means the less volume that you're going to need to do because you're going to be able to pack more into your workout. 3, longer rest periods. Does it seem counterintuitive? Hear him out. 3-minute rest periods allow better recovery and increased ability to contract target muscles. Improved maintenance of set quality throughout the workout. Quality sets equals less total sets needed, which equals less total time. So these 3-minute rest periods, these are given when you're doing sort of more explosive training, right? When you're lowering the reps in your sets because you are moving higher weights. Say you take 1 minute to rest in between a rep that's in between a set that's 85% of your max. Do you think you're going to hit the same amount of reps? It's normal to go down in reps if you don't have a long rest time. You have to give your body time to recover and the blood to move. Number 4 is do not change your workouts. If I hear I need to change it up to shock my muscles into growth one more time, I'll puke. Doing this regularly creates guesswork, friction, and makes it harder to track progress. And it is an inevitable waste of time. Keep your workouts consistent and track your progress. It ensures you go into every workout with a plan. No going through the motions. In each workout, know exactly what you are doing, exact weight and rep targets, and the exact progress if change is needed. No guesswork equals efficiency, which equals results in less time, which is the whole idea of this thing. One thing that I do, one thing that you all should do when you go into a workout, and it's great if you have an app that guides you along, but is that app equipped with how many sets of how many reps and how much weight you're doing on this week? I have a note that I've kept this note for the last, I think it's been 15 months now that I've been lifting weights again. And the progress that I've seen has been amazing. Since I got into running and for the last 5 years, I've been in great shape. But the weightlifting, it packs on a different type of lean mass. It's just a different cut of myself that I'm seeing. And the whole time I've kept track of notes. I can go back to phase 1 all the way to where I am now and keep track of the progress that I've made with how much weight I'm able to push and pull and squat, whatever the lift is. 6 is an optimal workout structure. Once you nail the first 5 steps, you will need far less time in the gym to get high-level results. Structured workouts like this, 3 to 4 exercises with 6 to 20 reps per set, 2 to 3 working sets of exercises, and 8 to 12 total sets of the workout. 3-minute rest periods. So you need auxiliary lifts outside of your main compound lifts. And this is what this is all about. Your working sets. So this is saying to have 2 to 3 working sets, right? And those 2 to 3 working sets are at the optimal weight for you to train with. The rest around that are warm-ups. You should have 4 to 5 sets per exercise, 2 to warm up. Get yourself primed, get your body and your central nervous system activated, and get ready to push the weight that you want. There you have it, the 6 ways I optimize my workouts to get big results in less time. High intensity, high quality, longer rest periods, not changing the workouts, tracking progress, and optimal workout structure. Now, I think you should change your workouts. This is the one caveat I'll add. But you're not changing your workouts as far as the 3 main lifts that you should be focusing on. Squat, bench, deadlift. These are compound lifts that should be integrated in every single program that you do. Some weeks you're going to want to do 4 days a week. Some weeks you're going to want to do 5 days a week. And that's when you should change the exercises that you're doing outside of the squats, the bench, and the deadlift. You should figure a way every 4 weeks to cycle in different auxiliary lifts to hit different sets of muscles that you didn't hit in the last 4 weeks. There's no way that you'll be able to structure your workouts and hit every single muscle in your body. That's why it's important through a 12-month period to have 12 different sets of exercises that you're doing, but always maintaining the squat, bench, deadlift variations of the workouts. That is the stuff of legends. That is what makes a legend in the gym. I want to hear about what makes a legend in life. We all know one, the one. Manifest Lord puts out a thread. Many of us know Keanu Reeves as the compassionate, respected man, and most famously know him as John Wick. His public reputation has become favorable due to his humble nature and natural charm. Let's see if we can get to know more about his life and why he's one of the most interesting actors. 1. This is a little bit different for us. A little pop culture crave here. 1. Keanu Reeves has been known to defer his salary to get other actors in movies. When Keanu wants to work with particular actors for different movies, he has willingly deferred his compensation so that productions can free up some of their budgets to be able to afford the actors. His admiration of Al Pacino led to Keanu Reeves gladly taking a $2 million pay cut for his efforts in the 1997 classic film The Devil's Advocate. What a duo them two were in that movie. Reeves performs most of his stunts on his own. The iconic actor once revealed on the late-night show with Stephen Colbert Show that for one of his movies, The Matrix Resurrections, he jumped off a building around 19 to 20 times over the course of 2 days to get it right. Keep in mind, during filming of this movie, Reeves was 57 years old. Now that's impressive. Keanu has an entire festival dedicated to him in Scotland. KeanuCon, known as the world's first Keanu Reeves Film Festival. It started in 2018 by screening 11 Keanu Reeves films and hosting Wild Stallions, Keanu's fake band from Bill and Ted Live. Now that's all. I didn't know that was a thing. I might want to make it out there for one. 4. Reeves is a huge fan of motorcycles. You won't see him riding as much as he used to, though. He's had multiple crashes that resulted in some pretty serious injuries. Keanu also co-founded Arch Motorcycle Company, which makes and sells custom motorcycles. He's got his own Orange County choppers over there. Number 5, Keanu Reeves has previously stated he doesn't care about money. He says he could live off of what he's already made for the next few centuries, which explains why he's so generous. He's given away a lot of money and done a lot for people than most will ever know, said the family friend of his. A source. I love sources, anonymous sources. He knows how lucky he is. Unlike many Hollywood megastars, he never takes any of this for granted. Now, this is the end of the thread, and I think I think what he's got going for him is a great PR firm. No, but it does sound like something somebody would pay somebody to say about somebody. But you always hear these stories about Keanu Reeves crashing a wedding or donating money to something. He's a pretty interesting type of guy, and I don't know, I just thought it was an interesting thread to go through because he's one of my favorite actors. I grew up loving the Matrix movies, and then when I found out he was the same guy who was in Bill and Ted, it kind of broke the Hollywood magic for me. I was able to understand what the hell Hollywood really is and how people are playing roles. For a while, I thought Keanu Reeves was actually Neo, so the movie came out when I was like 4. Give me a break. But I wanted to get into some pop culture for this episode because, I mean, this is the biggest pop culture game of the year, right?
Here we go! Buck, here we go! Here we go! Here we go! Here we go! Yeah, here we go!
I mean, this is the biggest television program of all time, the big game, the Superb Owl, the NFL championship game. That will be played today, Sunday, February 9th. You have the Kansas City Chiefs going head-to-head with the Philadelphia Eagles once again. Now, to put it in perspective, the World Series held an average of 15.8 million viewers between the Dodgers and the Yankees, two of the biggest franchises in baseball. And last year's Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl had 123 million people watching. So yeah, football is king. And here we are with two teams that faced off against one another already before, 2 years ago. But these teams are revamped in many, many different ways. L'Jarius Sneed isn't with the Chiefs anymore. Their defense is still a dominant defense. They really, really are disciplined on both sides of the ball. They don't draw a lot of false starts or, bad yuck penalties like that. Like a yucky penalty is a penalty that's just caused by poor discipline. And the Eagles, on the other hand, picked up Saquon Barkley with what's panned out to be probably the greatest free agency signing of all time. And just imagine if they win the Super Bowl. The dirt that's going to rub in the Giants' face, as well as how great the front office of Kansas City is going to look. These two teams, they played back in 2023 in a high-scoring game, 38-35. I believe the over-under right now is set at 49.5, so that's something to think about. The game throughout was exciting, and it ended with a little bit of controversy, but we'll get there. It was the Eagles who had a 10-point lead at halftime in that game, and then the Chiefs had an incredible comeback to boast the Mahomes the Magician story. Jalen Hurts had a great game passing, which is something that people have been talking about a lot this year. And then he went out and did what he did in the NFC Championship game. But nonetheless, in that Super Bowl, Hurts was outstanding, throwing for 304 yards with 3 touchdowns, while also rushing for 3 touchdowns. He accounted for 6 touchdowns, and think about that. He's not going to have to rush like that when they can seemingly get a hole anywhere on the field for Saquon Barkley. His performance made him the first player in the Super Bowl to rush for 3 touchdowns in a single game. Will Saquon Barkley be the next? That was a fun little sprinkle that I put out there with Saquon Barkley, 3 touchdowns for 1,200. That'd be great for, what is that, 120 to 1 odds. Nonetheless, Patrick Mahomes had a high ankle sprain in that playoffs, if anybody remembers. And if you go back and watch the quarterback series on Netflix, which is a great accounting of the stories of quarterbacks throughout that season, one of them being Patrick Mahomes, who coincidentally made it to the Super Bowl that year and won. Nonetheless, he had a high ankle sprain, and I think that was in the divisional round, and he battled back through the injury throughout the rest of the playoffs. He finished with 182 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, winning the MVP. In the final minutes of the game, the score was tied 35-35 until Harrison Butker made a 27-yard Harrison Butker's red-pilled made a 27-yard field goal to give the Kansas City Chiefs a 38-35 lead with 8 seconds left, which I believe is the first game-winning field goal in Super Bowl history. The controversy came, though, when James Bradbury, late in the fourth quarter, got a controversial holding penalty. Not even a pass interference, but it helped set up the game-winning field goal for the Chiefs in a game that was filled with dramatic swings, incredible performances, and a memorable comeback by the Chiefs. Another one for Mahomes and Andy Reid, and the first in this little triumph they're trying to pull off here. We have this Super Bowl coming up, and it's something that there's history on both sides of the ball here. Can Saquon Barkley win a championship? Can he prove that running backs are still a hugely valuable asset when it comes to the football game, which they already prove year in and year out that they are, but they're grossly underpaid. Even though everybody's grossly overpaid in these sports leagues, running backs are a grossly underpaid position when you look at the amount of punishment that they take. Besides linemen, nobody's getting hit every play like a running back is. But the Chiefs are looking for a three-peat here, and they are trying to win their third consecutive Super Bowl, which is something that's never happened in the NFL before. And Patrick Mahomes has a chance here to cement his legacy as the GOAT already, with still so much left in his career. I mean, to do something that Tom Brady and the Patriots in their that dynasty, which is the last most powerful dynasty that we've seen in the NFL, to pull off a feat that they haven't, I think that's going to say a lot for the legacy of Mahomes and the Chiefs and Andy Reid. The Eagles strengthened their roster this year, though, adding Saquon Barkley, as I was talking about. But not only that, the addition of the addition of this defense, the prowess that the prowess and the attitude that Vic Fangio brought in, as well as the team being able to take it. Because you look at what he did in Miami, and people, I mean, people were ready to write Vic Fangio off because their defense did not perform well at all. But they managed to look like a completely different team when you compare them to last year. When you compare last year's Eagles defense to this year's, you see a major, major difference. And I think that has a lot to do with the coaching, but also their additions in the secondary, bringing back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slay continuing to be a dominant force. The addition of Cooper DeJean, who's made an immediate impact in his rookie year. Zach Bond coming out of nowhere and just being this defensive player of the year candidate. You really love to see a team come up like this, and they have so much energy behind them. Andy Reid has a chance to beat the Eagles again in the Super Bowl, his former team that he wasn't able to lead there. But he's playing a familiar opponent here with Vic Fangio, who they faced while he was the head coach of the Broncos. And Mahomes and Reid are undefeated against Fangio, except he wasn't a part of that team last season who won. The Eagles over the last 2 years are 1-1. They're tied with one another. This is the rubber match, so to speak, with the Jalen Hurts-led Eagles. They got a win last season in November. They covered the spread in that game. The spread's 1.5. The Chiefs are favored. The Eagles are underdogs, and I think that this is their year to pull it off. Kansas City coming in, scoring 18 points a game over their last 3 games throughout the playoffs. And then you have Philadelphia, who scored 35 points a game, one of them being a 55-point onslaught. Their offense is playing, they're humming, playing perfect and consistently at the right time. Their offensive line is stacked. That's something to look for here with the Chiefs, because they're playing with a guard at tackle, and the Eagles are playing with a tackle at guard. Mekhi Becton, who's really turned his career around in Philadelphia, a 6'7" player who went into the interior of the line to play guard and who's just dominating, helping find these holes for Saquon Barkley. I don't see a lot of weaknesses, especially with Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson coming back for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think they're just a more primed and ready team. Coach Sirianni was in his second season when he got to his first Super Bowl. He has more experience. He's been through the fire in Philadelphia. They wanted to fire him this year when he was 9-1. They have a lot to play for. The Chiefs still have a lot to play for, and they seem like a team that's always striving for greatness, striving for more. But in this case here, I just think that the Eagles have a different type of chip on their shoulder. They're hearing a million ways why they can't win. Jalen Hurts is hearing a million ways why he's not a good quarterback. Nick Sirianni, a million ways that he's not a great coach. And he's done nothing but win. He has the highest win percentage of all active coaches right now at 70%. There's not a lot of ways for me to see the Eagles losing this game other than the Chiefs being the Chiefs, finding a way to win. Travis Kelce getting open when he's not supposed to be, through double coverage, finding a different way to sit down. He plays with this different type of communication with Pat Mahomes. It's like they're telekinetically talking, or telepathically speaking. They just have a different way about them. They are a dominant force, a dominant duo in the NFL. Two of the best to ever throw and catch to each other. I could say that right now, and they're not even done yet. That's what you have to look at the Chiefs. They're that great, and they're not even done yet. Eagles win. And I'm not even done yet. But the podcast is. Come back next week to hear how the Super Bowl panned out, and we'll get into all the offseason talk because a lot is going on. As always, it's all love and God bless.
Show you what it's worth. Money to the ceiling. I started at the dirt. I've been riding, wave like I surf. I've been leaning in and out of work. I could show you what it's worth. Money to the ceiling. I started at the dirt. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go out best midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I give what I got, I supply that fire. I supply that fire, man. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go out past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go out past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher, man.